All right, here was strike one.
If the Democrats said we had a war on caterpillars and every mainstream media outlet talked about the fact that Republicans have a war on caterpillars, then we'd have problems with caterpillars. I mean, the fact of the matter is it's a fiction.
The chairman of the Republican Party trying to say that the whole idea that Republicans had some sort of war on women was as fictitious as the idea that Republicans were waging a war on caterpillars. This was strike one. This was a swing and a miss from Reince Priebus, not only because his party has earned the war on women thing through all sorts of demonstrable stuff, like restricting access to contraception and opposing equal pay for equal work and going hog wild against abortion rights, not only because of the substance of it, but also because comparing women to caterpillars is not an awesome way to convince women how much respect you have for them. So that was, thank you, strike one. Then they gave it another shot. Not the chairman of the Republican Party, but the spokesman for the Republican Party, Sean Spicer. Remember that name, it's coming back. Mr. Spicer said the problem with the war on women idea was not the women part of the war on women phrase, but rather the war part of the war on women phrase. He said it was borderline unpatriotic for anybody to use war as a political metaphor. And yes, Mr. Spicer is the spokesman for the party, the Republican Party. That's their website right there, headlining one of the many wars that they have declared concerning President Obama. In this case, the war on coal. So that was strike two. The next batter up to the plate was the top Republican in the Senate, Mitch McConnell.
Talk about a manufactured issue. There is no issue. Senator Kay Bailey Hutchison and Kelly Ayotte from New Hampshire and Susan Collins and Olympia Snowe from Maine, I think, would be the first to say. Lisa Murkowski from Alaska, we don't see any evidence of this.
The problem with rebutting the whole war on women thing this way, saying it's manufactured, and these women that you're citing might agree with you on it, the problem with that is that these women that Mitch McConnell says agree with him in his view on this, do not agree with him on this.
If you don't view this as an attack on women, then you need to go home and you need to talk to your wives. You need to go talk to your daughters. Ask them if they feel that this is an attack.
So at this point, we have 3 strikes, which under normal circumstances would mean the end. It would mean you're out, right? But the Republicans are still up there swinging away at this war on women issue, and they have to. I mean, they will lose the election with numbers this bad among women. This idea that Republicans are acting contrary to women's interests and women are therefore turning away from them in polls is not going away. So yesterday, the Republicans gave it yet another go. The Romney campaign convened a conference call to talk about how great a Mitt Romney presidency would be for women and the economy in particular, and how awful President Obama was for women. Their call on this subject did not go well.
Our next question will come from Sam Stein with Huffington Post. Please go ahead.
Yeah, does Governor Romney support the Lilly Ledbetter Act?
And we'll get back to you on that.
The Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act was the first bill that President Obama signed into law as president. It guaranteed women access to the courts to sue if they were getting paid less than men for doing the same work. It's a really high-profile thing. The Romney campaign apparently had not prepared an answer on whether or not their candidate supported that idea. So that was strike 4. But since that didn't exactly happen in private, that was, after all, on a press call that they themselves called. That was a call full of reporters hearing that. The Romney campaign knew they had to try to fix that problem they created for themselves. So they stepped back up to the plate. They put out a statement saying that Mitt Romney would not repeal the Fair Pay Act if he became president, even though they didn't say if he would have signed it himself. Then they rolled out a bunch of female Republican surrogates to reassure everybody that Mitt Romney supports fair pay. And that, of course, constituted strike 5 because those surrogates that the Romney campaign rolled out did not themselves vote for the Fair Pay Act. So they don't particularly support it either. Trust them. Here's the thing, though. This whole concept of whether or not the Republicans are waging a war on women, it is not an impressionistic thing. It's not a how do the girls feel about these guys kind of thing. The whole reason anybody has been talking about a Republican war on women is not because of any personal factors at work here. It's not because of language or who's being PC or not. It's because of what Republicans have pursued as a policy agenda. And the fair pay issue is a great one on which to talk about the difference between the parties. I mean, Mitt Romney says he doesn't want to talk about Republicans rolling back contraception or being super anti-abortion or all of these other issues that people have been complaining about in the war on women idea. He says he just wants to talk about women in an economic context. Well, here's a perfect case of a women's economic issue. Equal pay, right? Women being able to sue if they are getting paid less than a man for doing the same work that that man is doing. You kind of can't get more pure if you're looking for a gender issue that is an economic issue, right? This is what Romney says he is specializing on. This is what his message of the week is. We still have no idea whether or not Mitt Romney supports that. He says he would not repeal the Fair Pay Act, but would he have signed it if he was president? Most Republicans voted against it. What should we read into the fact that the surrogates he's putting out to talk for him on this issue themselves voted no on the Fair Pay Act? Mr. Romney won the Wisconsin primary in part by cuddling up as close as he could possibly get to the embattled Republican governor of Wisconsin, Scott Walker. Not only does Scott Walker apparently not support the equal pay for equal work concept, he overtly did just repeal Wisconsin's state-level version of the Equal Pay Act. He repealed that law on the same day that he signed a pair of new restrictions on abortion rights in Wisconsin. This is not hypothetical stuff. This is not about whether or not somebody is using PC language or wearing the right color tie or showing up with enough women around them or even whether or not they're a woman themselves. This is policy. That's where the whole concept of the Republican war on women and the Republicans' consequent problem with women in the polls has come from. And not recognizing that, not recognizing that it's substantive, it is about policy, is, I think, why the Republicans keep striking out on this issue. They keep missing the point every time they try to address it. They keep making it worse. But today that all turned around. Today the Republicans finally got a pitch they could hit on this subject. It was not on policy. It was not on the substance of any of these issues that are being fought over here. So maybe that's why they thought it was perfect for them. A Democratic strategist who does not work for the Obama campaign or the Democratic Party, who in fact works for CNN as a pundit, on CNN said this.
What you have is Mitt Romney running around the country saying, well, you know, my wife tells me that what women really care about are economic issues. And when I listen to my wife, that's what I'm hearing. Guess what? His wife has actually never worked a day in her life. She's never really dealt with the kinds of economic issues that a majority of the women in this country are facing in terms of how do we feed our kids, how do we send them to school, and how do we worry, and why do we worry about their future?
Now, substantively, Mitt Romney does say that his advisor on women and the economy, his advisor on women's issues generally, is his wife. And so he technically brought her into it by claiming her as politically relevant, claiming that her experience, her expertise, her advice is what he is counting on to come up with his policy ideas and his perspective as a potential president. But no matter, the Louisville Slugger was already making perfect contact with this particular proverbial baseball. The Republicans knew they could finally get a hit in this political fight about women voters, this fight that they have been losing so badly in recent weeks. So after putting Ann Romney all over the TV machine, the Romney campaign then convened another conference call on women and the economy, but it was actually just another round of Romney surrogates condemning this pundit, Hillary Rosen, for what she said. One surrogate saying that in insulting Ann Romney this way, Hillary Rosen actually spoke for what President Obama really felt about women. The Obama administration, everybody from the president's campaign manager, Jim Messina, to his chief strategist, David Axelrod, to his wife, Michelle Obama herself, they all responded immediately to condemn in no uncertain terms what Hillary Rosen had said on CNN. The Republican Party kept pressing its advantage, though, putting out this web banner ad trying to solicit donations, as if President Obama had said this thing himself. Mitt Romney's chief strategist said that this one statement on CNN was the declaration of President Obama's kill Ann strategy for the entire campaign. The Republicans were so excited that they had this pitch to hit, that they have blown it up into something that has frankly clouded out all other domestic political news of the day. Even after Hillary Rosen apologized for her remarks, they are still working this thing. They are still trying to get more out of this. But in their excitement, they appear to be trying to turn what is probably a single, maybe a double, into a home run. And in their excitement, they have screwed this one up too. Here's how. This is the delightful and charming Twitter feed of a group that calls itself the Catholic League. And this is how they responded to the Hillary Rosen excitement in today's politics. This is what they wrote. Lesbian Dem Hillary Rosen tells Ann Romney she never worked a day in her life. Unlike Rosen, who had to adopt kids, Ann raised 5 of her own. This is a thing now? Attacking people for adopting children? I did not know this was a thing, but apparently this is a thing. When this weird, super anti-gay, anti-adoption, right-wing criticism of Hillary Rosen started to inflect the politics of this thing that the Republicans thought was otherwise going their way, the Republican Party spokesman, remember Sean Spicer? Remember him? Sean Spicer weighed in, and frankly, he told these Catholic League guys where to go. He said, quote, "The Catholic League should be encouraging adoption, not demeaning the parents who are blessed to raise these children," which is a very nice thing for Mr. Spicer to have said. And it is also a huge mess for Republican politics. Because the Republican Party, or at least the presumptive presidential nominee of the Republican Party, Mitt Romney, is adamantly opposed to gay people adopting children. So in criticizing the Catholic League for having said the nasty anti-gay thing about Hillary Rosen's adopted kids, is the Republican Party now weighing in to say it's okay for gay people to adopt kids? Oh no, this was going so well. How did we get into this mess? When people started pointing out online that now the Republican Party spokesman is endorsing gay adoption rights, and that represents a real change for the party, then Sean Spicer had to backpedal away from what was otherwise supposed to be his noble anti-Catholic League thing. Mr. Spicer having to say, quote, "This is not what I said." So right now, the Republican Party's position on this flap is that they do not believe that gay people should be allowed to adopt children. And they're very angry at the Catholic League for saying that gay people should not be allowed to adopt children. And now what they thought was their perfect issue about somebody having problematized Mitt Romney invoking his wife as his advisor on women in the economy, that whole thing that they thought they were going to win for the day has been sullied by these weird anti-gay politics that Republicans really have no idea what to say about. They had a solid single here, and they tried to turn it into a home run, and now it's all falling apart. The Romney campaign was already in this mess on gay politics anyway. Yesterday, a group called the National Organization for Marriage, its initials are NOM, pronounced nom nom nom. The National Organization for Marriage endorsed Mitt Romney for president just hours after Rick Santorum dropped out of the race. You may remember NOM is the group that photoshopped a giant pro-Obama crowd into a photo of one of their own rallies to make it seem like all of these super enthusiastic people were there supporting an anti-gay group, which they were not. You may also remember them from the leaked memos showing their strategy to try to turn African Americans and gay people against each other, to try to stoke anti-gay animus in the black community in order to help them get their way on anti-gay policies. Their endorsement for Mr. Romney led to immediate calls for Mr. Romney to reject that endorsement because of NOM's involvement in some extreme politics. But Mr. Romney is on the record as having given NOM a $10,000 donation. He also signed a pledge committing himself as president to supporting a constitutional amendment to the United States Constitution to ban gay marriage, plus a whole bunch of other stuff, including promising to appoint anti-gay judges. So it doesn't seem likely that Mitt Romney is going to turn down their endorsement since he has supported this group so much in the past. He has made it clear that even if once upon a time, back in Massachusetts, he said he would run to the left of Ted Kennedy on gay rights, he has made clear that he's not that Mitt Romney anymore. Now he is a pretty hardcore anti-gay Republican. And that is also a mess for him. And so Mitt Romney has wanted to seem like he's to the left of Ted Kennedy on gay rights. And he's also pledging to change the U.S. Constitution to block gay rights. And he's writing $10,000 checks to groups fighting against gay rights in the states. And even in Republican-dominated states, those groups are losing their fight. Because not only the country, but even Republicans cannot feel safe politically anymore being all that anti-gay. I mean, this is a mess. Gay rights in Republican politics right now are a mess. At least they are a minefield if you are trying to get across this issue. If Mitt Romney really does want to pivot from the hardcore right-wing Republican primary to the general election, rejecting that endorsement from NOM, from the super rabidly anti-gay marriage people, that would be a great way to make that pivot, right? Can he do that? Even what should have been a simple base hit today with this Hillary Rosen comment, even what should have been a base hit for them, ended up getting all fouled up when this other political mess intruded on the war on women mess, right? And it seems like they still haven't figured out a way to win. Honestly, if I were being paid to advise Mitt Romney on this subject, I have no idea what my advice would be. It's the most complicated and most unpredictable issue right now within the Republican Party.